Welcome to this edition of the Native News Update. I'm your host for today's program, Paul Demain. Many of the stories read here can also be found at our website at IndianCountryNews.com. Here is the news for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. The sister of a woman accused of suffocating her 3-year-old child said May 22nd the boy was loved by his family members and they are devastated by his mother's alleged actions. Tiffany Toribio, 23, faces first-degree murder and other charges in the May 13th death of her son, Tyrus, also known as Ty, whose body was found 2 days later buried in a playground of a local park in Albuquerque, New Mexico. What Toribio is accused of doing has, quote, devastated the family beyond belief, unquote, Emily Apodaca said in a prepared statement. The night Tyrus passed, the Tiffany we all knew and loved also passed with him, said Apodaca, reading from her prepared statement. Apodaca described her sister as a loving mother, but acknowledged the family, natives of the Zaya Pueblo northwest of Albuquerque, New Mexico, had little contact with their relatives since last August. A public memorial for Ty was scheduled to be held May 26 at the Calvary Chapel. A private service was scheduled to be held at the Zia Pueblo, and the Pueblo had asked that the public to respect the tribe's privacy. More than 2,000 indigenous leaders and representatives are expected to attend the whole 8th session of the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues, which convened on Monday, May 18th and runs through May 29th. In addition to discussing the implementation of the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, the forum will discuss the relationship between indigenous peoples and industrial corporations and the need to promote corporate social responsibility. The Indian Law Resources Center staff will be leading a workshop and discussion of the paper Principles of International Law for Multilateral Development Banks on May 26th. For more information on the Permanent Forum session and details of the side events, you can go to www.un.org and Google or search for the UN Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues website. During April, the Australian government officially endorsed the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. By reversing its 2007 policy against the UN Declaration, Australia became the 144th country to adopt it. Now only 3 governments, the United States, Canada, and New Zealand, remain opposed to the UN Declaration, and many activists are encouraging these governments to join the rest of the world in its support of the rights of indigenous peoples. Wilma Mankiller and other Native leaders are leading up an effort to urge President Obama to sign the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, according to the Indian Law Resource Center. Information on the Indian Law Resource Center can be found online at www.indianlaw.org. Former Idaho Attorney General Larry Echohawk has been sworn in as head of the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Echohawk is a 60-year-old law professor at Brigham Young University and a member of the Pawnee tribe. He was sworn in May 22nd as Assistant Interior Secretary for Indian Affairs. Echohawk pledged to work with President Barack Obama and Interior Secretary Ken Salazar to bring positive change to Indian country. He told BIA employees he appreciates their dedication to serving the American Indian and Alaskan Native people, and he went on to say, "We will continue to honor the federal trust responsibility to support tribal self-government and determination and make a positive difference in the tribal communities we serve." A Sitka artist renowned for her tinglet weaving and basketry is among the 11 Americans honored with the National Heritage Fellowship through the National Heritage Fellowship Program, which comes with a $25,000 prize. The award for Terry Rothgar was announced during mid-May by the National Endowment for the Arts. The NEA, National Heritage Fellowships, are considered America's highest award for traditional folk arts and crafts. Recipients are sometimes referred to as living cultural treasures. Hrofkar works in various woven art forms, but is particularly known for her robes, also known as blankets, made in the raven's tail style unique to Southeast Alaska. One of her most viewed pieces, The Robe of Gathered Tradition, is in the Alaska Native Heritage Center in Anchorage, Alaska. Other works are on display at Ted Stevens Anchorage International Airport, the University of Alaska Museum of the North in Fairbanks, and in the Denver Art Museum. She joins other Native Alaskans who have received the NEA Fellowship, including Nathan Jackson, Dolores Churchill, and Nick and Elena Charles. A Navajo code talker who was part of the original group recruited to develop what became an unbreakable code that confounded the Japanese during World War II has passed away. John Brown Jr. passed away May 20th at his home in Crystal, New Mexico, according to his son Frank Brown. John Brown was 88. Several hundred Navajos served as code talkers during the war, but a group of 29 that included Brown developed the code based on their Navajo language. Their role in the war wasn't declassified until 1968. Brown received the Congressional Gold Medal in the year 2001, along with other members of the original code talkers. Less than a handful are still alive today. In an acceptance speech on behalf of the code talkers, Brown said he was proud that the Navajo language bestowed on them as a holy people were used to save American lives and help defeat U.S. enemies. As code talkers and Marines, he said they did their part to protect freedom and democracy for the American people. It is my hope that our young people will carry on this honorable tradition as long as the grass grow and the rivers flow, Brown said, according to a CNN transcript. And here at LCO, as in many other communities across the United States, the Native community pays tribute to those people who have served their country with their highest sacrifice with their lives. And here's that clip.
Honor guard, color guard, 10 shut.
Rifle squad, prepare to fire a volley of 3. Ready? Aim, fire. Aim, fire. Aim, fire.
Color guard, raise the colors to full staff.
And that is the latest roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. Thank you for joining with us and have a great day.